heroism. It's the pursuit of two ideals, excellence and a higher purpose. This noble mission is not just found in Hollywood. It's a game changer for businesses devoted to it. Almost all business owners launch their company to make a difference in the world around them. Join us on the Heroic Experience as we talk with business owners, senior leaders, and established entrepreneurs so that you too can elevate your business to heroic success. Now, here's your host, John D. Hanson.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience, where we are grateful to be sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions and far more on their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. I have been looking forward to this conversation with Lauren Lefkowitz for quite some time, and you'll find out why, especially in the second segment. Lauren is an executive leadership coach and a podcast host. Welcome to the show, Lauren.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, I am looking forward to our conversation for multiple reasons, but we always start off segment one with a few wow client stories. Clients that had had the opportunity to work with you, they may have never heard of you before, and then they're like, where have you been all my life? Those wow client stories. So start us off with one that comes right off the top of your mind, like that was such a great experience for both of you, Lauren.
Yeah, thanks. So the one that comes to mind first is the client who came to me after doing the same thing for 15 years, really loving her job at the beginning, growing within the company, being placed on the leadership team, taking on additional tasks on the side because she was getting bored with her job.
Wow.
And being severely underpaid and underappreciated. And she saw one of my posts on LinkedIn. We'd never had any communication before, reached out to me, and we started working together. And she went from doing a job, 80% of which she didn't like, and figuring out who she wanted to be when she grew up, and figuring out that what she wanted to be was that 20% of her job that was side work, that she wasn't being paid additional for, that she wasn't appreciated for. And over a several-month period, we really worked on her confidence to figure out that she could be whatever she wanted to be when she grew up, whenever that was, right? We get to our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and we think we should already be grown up, and there's still so much opportunity to choose. And where she ended up was almost double her salary, doing a job that was 100% of the 20% of side work she did for extra time for no money in her previous job. And being able to build up that confidence to say, I don't want this life. I don't want this fine life where I'm working 60 plus hours a week, where I'm doing all of this extra work for no extra money, where I'm already being underpaid. I want more. And then really being willing to sit in that and live in that, decide what more looked like for her, and get out of imposter syndrome and limitations and really build a future that works for her.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, so much to that. It's got to be resonating with people hearing this, because she had to overcome so many hurdles to reach out to you. Like, there are so many people, especially if you have a presence on social media, that are following, engaging, but they're in the shadows. They're not liking, they're not commenting especially, but they're tracking everything you put out because there's just something about the solution you have to offer that they're gravitating towards. And then they make that leap. They pick up the phone or they send a message, and the relief that must come after their instincts are proven right. And in the process, people mentally acknowledge that they're skilled at something. This is what's shocking to me, Lauren, and I know you could speak on this. Mentally acknowledge that they're good at something. But they actually have to have this unshakable belief and confidence that they are that good at something to then go after what they're truly worth. Have you found that to be true?
It's so true. And the piece that's missing from what you just said is that they think they have to do it alone. Smart, high-achieving people think that because they are good at all of the things that they do, because they are good at serving other people, that they should be good at serving themselves. And that if they can't figure out for themselves what they should do to get out of these ruts or these stuck places, that there isn't a solution.
Right.
And so smart and clever people need to work with smart and clever people to get out of their own way.
Yes. The whole idea of coaching, right, is that these higher performing athletes they pay people to help them achieve even more. That if they could have done it on their own, they would be. But it's proven in so many industries that excellent coaches help people achieve even more, especially the highly talented ones. The self-coached athletes will just never perform to their ultimate potential without one. And I know that sounds like a pitch for coaching, but done right, coaching is a multiplier.
I'm not going to shut you down as you're pitching coaching while I'm talking to you. Go right ahead. That said, yes, you've got it exactly right. When we think about sports, or we think about music, or some sort of a non-corporate skill, a non-business skill, of course you get a coach. How else are you going to learn? How else are you going to grow? When we get into our corporate lives, or our small business owner lives, or our entrepreneurial lives, we think we're already supposed to know everything. And somehow the message never came across the line from arts and sports into corporate that coaching works for everyone.
Yes. Yes. Now, some people might think, well, I can do it myself. I can learn from a course. I can learn from a book. And for some, that learning method works. But for a lot of people, they will honestly say, when I did college online, it didn't work for me. I needed a community. I needed a person. I needed a professor that I could go to with the questions I had. What has been a common element of people you've worked with of saying why they appreciated your coaching approach, and especially the in-person, not the do-it-yourself?
I think I'm just like them. And I've talked about that, and I continue to talk about that. I am really vulnerable with my community in talking about the things I'm afraid of, failure, imposter syndrome, just simply not being good enough, having people think I'm stupid if I ask questions. And when you look at someone like me who came out of the corporate world and was really a high-achieving workaholic, and I know we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yes.
It's relatable. You're not looking at someone and saying, oh, they're so far away from me that they're not going to be able to relate to me. They're not going to know what I'm going through. And knowing that you can work with somebody who's come somewhere because they invested in coaching is really reassuring. And being a high achiever as a client and talking to a high achieving coach, there's a likeness. There's an understanding that, like, I get it. You think you should be able to do everything by yourself because you're smart and hardworking and you're a person who troubleshoots and figures things out. And now you're sitting in this muck where you can't figure yourself out.
Yeah.
And you think, well, there must not be more because I can't figure it out. So when you get to the point where you realize there could be more, you don't have to know how, that's when you start working with a coach.
Well, it's almost like you read my mind, Lauren, because we're up against the first break, believe it or not, and you have just set the ball on the tee, to use the golf analogy, for the next segment of why you need to join back with us after the break to hear Amy's story, because you will relate. If you are an achiever and a workaholic, hear her story and how she changed.
Inspire, influence, and connect your audience with digital signage. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Whether you need digital menu boards for your quick service restaurant, digital displays for marketing in your retail stores, or wayfinding and unified communications for your schools, your corporations, or your healthcare facility, our customizable, affordable options and proven experience make us the only partner you'll need for your next digital signage project. Visit kaufmanmedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN media.com.
Would you buy a car from a dealer without a test drive first? For your business, a consulting partner is even more important. Accelerated Revenue is excited to announce the Take Us for a Test Drive event. Receive 2 exclusive workshops on customer experience and winning culture, a customized culture snapshot, and a leadership strategy session worth over $10,000, all in for just $2,500. Best of all, when you onboard our consulting team, we'll credit you the entire $2,500. Spots are limited, so visit our website today at accrev.com/test drive.
Check out John's worldwide selling book, Wow Your Customers, 7 Ways to World-Class Service on Amazon. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience, where we are here to elevate your business to heroic success. We are sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions and far more so you can engage with your team members and your customers and clients. Their website is kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. I am so happy to have Lauren Lefkowitz. She's an executive leadership coach and a podcast host as my guest today. And as I promised and teased in the first segment, we had a great conversation on a pre-show discussion, and I was so looking forward to hearing Lauren share her story because I know it's going to resonate, and there's even a dash of tragic humor mixed in. So, Lauren, as far back as you'd like to go, share your story with us, please.
Thanks so much. Tragic humor is a great way to describe that moment, which I will get to. But I'll actually start at the beginning of my career, which is that I started my career not knowing what I wanted to be when I grew up, just having absolutely no idea. I had 3 very short careers as a meeting planning assistant, an accountant, and a salesperson. I was a terrible salesperson and selling a product that I wasn't excited about. And I pretty quickly got tapped on the shoulder in the company I worked in to move into HR. And as a high achiever, my first response was, no, I haven't spent a year in sales yet. I haven't figured out how to do this, so I've got to stick it out. And that leader told me, you do not have to stick it out. You will be better off in another department. So I moved into human resources, and that led to a 20-year career in HR, operations, and some other stuff that I'll get to. But what happened was I very quickly became a workaholic. I worked for a company where it was expected to show your face 1 or 2 Saturdays a month. I did it 3 or 4. It was expected that you would come in early and stay late. I did. I was sometimes the first one in, almost always the last one out. And it taught me a work ethic that more is more. When I left that company to move into another HR role in another company, I moved out of retail and into the finance and investment world. I had this workaholic mentality already and this people-pleaser mentality already, and I was a born perfectionist. So you combine those 3 things with being new in a company and proving yourself in a position that's been a little bit rewritten for you because of your skills, and that produces all the ingredients for more work. So I went from 50, 60 hours a week to 60, 70 hours a week. It was a job where I wanted to be more, do more. I built a relationship with our parent company, worked very hard all the time, and also was living with chronic illness throughout my 30s. And I'm now in my 40s. I'm still living with it, but living well. And I didn't want anyone to know I was sick. So I worked even harder to make sure nobody would know I was sick, nobody would think I was weak, nobody would think I couldn't handle something. And I stayed with that company for about 9 years and moved then into a company where I got to start my own HR department from scratch, which is like, it makes me drool to think about it. It was so much fun. It was so exciting. And starting a new department in a company that was 25 years old was almost an entrepreneurial experience. Right. When I walked in, the CEO said, I don't know what you're supposed to do here, but go ahead. And that was a delight. And it also made it so I worked 80 to 100 hours a week. Even more. And so if you don't think you can work 100 hours in a week, the way you calculate it is that you work at least 15 hours a day and you work 7 days a week. So that's how that calculation works out.
Wow.
Yeah. So the first couple of years of this job were so much fun. I got to set policy. I got to create processes. I got to create a system where people could come and talk to HR, and they didn't have that before. I also went through a CEO transition and really adored the new CEO and just really respected him. And so we did a lot of great partnership work together to build a more strategic organization. And then I got tired of what I was doing. And so I started picking up other jobs inside the company. Every time a leader left, the CEO would say, who's going to handle this until we get a new, whatever the vice president position was? And I would raise my hand and say, I'll do it. And so I became not only the vice president of HR, but also meetings, operations, and interim managed at different times, finance, fundraising, programs, marketing, you name it.
Wow.
So I sort of became the vice president of whatever you need. And I thought that would make me enjoy it more. It just made me work more. And what I didn't realize at the time was that I was burned out.
Right.
And that I didn't really want to be in human resources anymore. But I didn't think I had any choices because here I was in my 40s and I'd already chosen my career. That's what I do for a living. And so I started looking for another job and had not yet learned the lesson that I needed to learn, which is coming. And as I'm looking for other jobs and finding jobs that all feel and look the same, I'm having this one perfect day where I've decided to organize my life. I'm going to look for another job. I'm going to clean out my condo, make everything perfect, get everything in order. And on that day, as I was doing some work and finishing the last bit of the last project I cared about, I was running my Roomba vacuum, the robot vacuums that go around your home. And it was going for the cord of an unplugged glass lamp. And I thought, oh no, this thing is going to shatter. What a mess that's going to be. So I got up and I ran across the room to catch it, slipped on the wood floor in my socks, launched forward, reached out for the table in front of me that I was not close enough to, and I broke both of my shoulders.
Oh.
Literally losing my ability to hand raise. That was the first joke that came out of me breaking both of my shoulders.
In anything else with your hands?
No longer be. And I called my boss from the hospital to tell him I wouldn't be in that week.
That week.
And he was kind enough while I was in shock to not tell me, you're not going to be in for a while. You've broken both of your shoulders.
It's only funny
and
now.
It is funny. You know what? It was funny in the moment because what a ridiculous injury. It was so funny that I was blogging about it one thumb at a time because both of my arms were in slings while I was recovering in a nursing home. But I've always had a sense of humor, and I've always been able to find light and levity and humor in whatever is happening. And it was a real benefit for my healing.
Wow. Okay. Well, believe it or not, you won't believe this, Lauren. We're actually up against our next break. So what I'd like to do, because we still have a whole nother segment, what I'd like to do when we come back is I want to go from that moment that was pivotal, tragically pivotal, but turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to you. And we'll find out why, along with best way to contact you about your podcast, which I love the title of. It's called I Could Talk to You All Day. We'll learn more about that. So be sure to tune in, come back after the break, and listen as we get to hear the end of Lauren's story and then how she discovered her best life after one of the most tragic accidents you could possibly think of. So come back and join us after the break.
Did you know that 70% of U.S. residents 12 and older recall seeing digital signage in the past week? Digital signage provides a 35% reduction in perceived wait time with a 30% increase in a customer's in-store browsing time. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Christina said,
We love our digital signage. The software is easy to use and we can publish content in minutes. It allows for every department to be seen and have a voice.
Visit KaufmanMedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN Media.com.
Attention event planners. Is your company or association planning a conference, seminar, or staff retreat? Are you looking for fresh ideas on high-demand topics like customer experience, leadership, empathy, customer service, earning and keeping trust, and more? Then you need to book John D. Hansen as your next speaker. Brooke said,
Great presentation. John's concepts help shift my thinking. A good fit for my life right now.
read more testimonials, discover John's full list of speaking topics, check out pricing and more on our website, accrev.com/keynote.
Would you like to be a guest on the Heroic Experience? Contact us at john.hansen@accrev.com. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience, where we are here to elevate your business to heroic success. We are grateful to be sponsored by Kaufman Media. Digital signage is part of the landscape everywhere we go nowadays. Find out how you can engage with your team members and your clients and customers in a way you never thought possible by visiting their website, KaufmanMedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN Media.com. Happy to have Lauren Lefkowitz. She is an executive leadership coach and podcast host as our guest today. Wow, what a story. So let me set this up here. You are in a nursing home, rehabilitating with 2 broken shoulders and only thumbs to send messages to the outside world. Oh, what happened because of that event in your life, Lauren?
Yeah. So my recovery took at least 4 months. It took really a year, but it was 4 months before I was back at work.
Wow.
And I made a promise, an empty promise to myself, because a goal without a plan is just a wish, right? I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to work these crazy hours anymore. I wasn't going to raise my hand and volunteer for different jobs. And I did. I went right back to 80 to 100 hours a week. I was, at that point, interim managing the finance department, managing a construction project for our new office space as the pandemic was starting. And when the pandemic began, as they should have, the team that I worked with asked me in HR what we should do. And we discussed as a team, but all the information was coming through HR. And I thought in that moment when they turned to me and asked me what we should do, I thought, I don't want to do any more things. I'm done. And what I realized was I had hit my wall. I was already in burnout. I was already so far beyond enjoying what I was doing for a living. And I just didn't see a way out. And I spoke with someone who was a coach, really more to think about doing that in addition to my HR career.
Right, of course.
And realized I needed a coach. Realized that what she was doing, how she was helping people, was what I needed in order to change my life. That I didn't have the ideas. I had gotten to this level of my life that was fine, and I talk about that a lot. My slogan is "Fine is a trap," because fine is the place where we get to where we feel like we've grown up, we've gotten to the pinnacle of our career, and there are no other choices. And so we self-soothe and we say, it's fine, this is what they're paying me for. It's fine, this is what I've worked for. It's fine, this is what I'm expected to do. That's where I was.
Wow.
And instead of getting the logistical and practical application information from this coach, I hired her. And she helped me untangle from 80-hour work weeks, from volunteering for everything, from figuring out for myself that I didn't want to be in corporate HR anymore. And I had always coached as a side gig. So it's dangerous to be a coach and not do the work to get yourself into a new place, because you think if you're a coach, if you're a leader, if you're a manager, and you know how to help other people do things and change their lives and change their ways, you should just be able to do it for yourself. That's the danger.
So when did you make that shift then, Lauren, from it being a side hustle to now it's the thing that you love to do and get to do full time? What was the process there for you?
Yeah, it was working with my coach. It was hearing myself say over and over, it's non-negotiable. I can't work less than 80 hours a week. And her response was, if you say so. And it helped me realize that I wasn't making any choices, that I had decided the choices had already been made and there was no flexibility.
Work was running you.
I'm sorry?
Work was running you. You weren't running.
Work was running me.
Yeah.
Life was happening to me. I was not taking control of anything. Yeah, exactly. When I realized I had choices, then I started working on looking at my day-to-day. Is this my responsibility, or am I doing it because I'm a hand raiser? Is this my job, or should it go to someone else? And I got myself down to 60 hours a week pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Then I got myself down to 40 hours a week, and I got bored.
Right.
What do you do with all this time?
Right.
But what it did for me was it gave me the headspace to make decisions, to think about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to be and who I wanted to be when I grew up. And I realized that I wanted to coach full time.
Gotcha. Well,
So in January of 2021, I hired my own business strategist to help me learn how to be an entrepreneur and to help me exit from corporate. I thought it was going to take 5 years. She told me it would take 1 year. I was out in 6 months, and I've been on my own for about a year.
so what's the best way for people to get a hold of this? I'm sure there's more than one, but what are the ways that people can get a hold of you, especially if this resonates strongly? Like, I want to learn more. What are some ways they can get a hold of you, Lauren?
Absolutely. The easiest way to find me and information about what I do is at www.findisatrap.com. And when you go there, you can get your own Find is a Trap inventory where you can figure out how your life is going, how your career is going, and whether it may be time to reach out to a coach. All of my contact information is there. I'm also very active on LinkedIn, at Lauren Lefkowitz on LinkedIn, which is hard to spell, so Find is a Trap is easier.
Hey, that's good about having a distinctive name, because you'll pop up really quickly on Google that way if somebody does search you. So with just like
Yes,
2 minutes
it is
left, time flying here,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we get to touch on your podcast, which is I Could Talk to You
Yeah.
All Day. The title sounds like so much fun. What was the idea for it, and what's the purpose behind it, Lauren?
It is so much fun. Thank you. I have a partner on the podcast, John Spears, who's also an executive leadership coach. We both were living in the executive world when we met. And when we started talking about what scared us and what made us upset and what stressed us out, we realized nobody was talking about being a leader while also being human. We set these expectations on ourselves. The companies we work for set expectations for us. And we get ourselves in this like pretend role of being what we think the model of a leader is. And the truth is, we get scared, we get imposter syndrome, we get tired, we get stressed, and we have to be allowed to be human. And so we talk about the real stuff that goes on in being a leader. We're not statistics, we're not psychology, we're not theory, we're talking about real stuff. And it's called I Could Talk to You All Day because we could talk to you all day about this.
Yeah, it's such a common theme, isn't it? Well, we've got about just under a minute left. So I'd love to ask this question as a kind of a final question for you. What has been the most rewarding thing for you making the transition from all those life experiences in a corporate role to now 6 months? Congratulations, making that move to where you're doing this full time. What's been the most rewarding thing for you now where you're at in life?
It's choice. It's that every day I feel like I am filled with the ability to choose. I get to choose my clients. They get to choose me. I get to hear their successes. I get to take the day off when I want to. I work 40 hours a week or fewer. There's just so much choice and joy in what I'm doing.
Yes, that freedom. It's interesting. It's such a paradox that when you put boundaries in your life, you actually have more freedom and more enjoyment, not less. Wonderful. Great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, Lauren. If you enjoy hearing the Heroic Experience, you can find us on Spotify, Podbean, YouTube channel, Accelerated Revenue, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music, however you listen. Join us back for the next episode of The Heroic Experience.
This has been The Heroic Experience. To learn how your business can be profitable and heroic, visit accrev.com. For access to free weekly content, subscribe to the Accelerated Revenue YouTube channel and follow John D. Hanson on LinkedIn. To listen to archived shows, find them on the Accelerated Revenue website under the Resources tab, accrev.com.